It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley. As we begin on Monday, Gary, welcome to fall. How are you?
We're seriously, we ought to finish our coffee, pack it up, and come back the day after the election.
It's interesting because we were talking in the pre-show meeting, and it really is the conclusion that I've come to. I don't think there are any undecideds out there, except for the fact that if you want to consider the group that are trying to decide whether they'll vote or not. And actually, you don't sit around going, well, I don't know if I'm going to vote or not, or blah, blah, blah. Most people don't do that. They just either go or don't go when it comes to election time. And I think everything is factored in, and this weekend and recent days, and as we go along, it proves it more and more, you know? And I just don't think, because she's factored in as a part of the Biden-Harris administration. It's not exactly an incumbent, but it's the incumbent administration. And he is like a co-incumbent because he was the president before Donald Trump. So I really don't think there's much room, and I don't think there's much to decide on. You would have to learn something brand new about either of the candidates for it to really change the game. And Donald Trump's been vetted for decades.
Trump's been vetted, and Harris, people don't know.
Right.
They still don't know because they don't buy into the fact that she has moved 180 degrees in each, on the major issues. And so what you see out there, what I see is when I talk to independents or I see them being interviewed, they're like, well, we still don't know where she stands. She said she's reversed all of her policies that are Trump policies. We really don't believe her because she won't explain why she has moved so far into that direction. And we believe that just like Biden said he'll be the most transparent president, just like Biden said that he's going to, govern as a moderate, he has been the most radical president in modern American history. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so they look at it, they go, why would she be different? She's doing the exact same things that he's doing. And if a party, because now this is more than just one person, if a party continues to do the exact same thing that the public doesn't like, there's going to be repercussions for it. I'll give you an example. Finally started seeing more Ted Cruz, Colin Allred commercials here in the state of Texas. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. There's two that I've seen from Allred, only one from Cruz, and the one from Cruz is just pounding the radical transgender movement that he supports, and it's very, very blunt.
Right.
Allred wants men, in your daughter's bathrooms. He wants them to compete against sports, and then there's all these women, athletes standing there. It's a very powerful ad. And I still shake my head at that because one of the things that you look at in a political party is what is the radical positions that they hold? What are the insane positions? And if they hold those positions, where else might they go? Now, we know it's not just one person with the radical transgender movement. It's the entire party. It's the entire federal party completely. They all back men. They all back the concept that men are actually biological women. That's why it's okay for them to play sports.
Right.
Is because if a man says he's a biological woman, he's a biological woman. Mm-hmm. And they'll throw that's why you call it trans. Well, fine. If you're just saying they think they're a woman, then they shouldn't be playing the sports. That's where they blow it.
Right.
But the whole movement has to be based on, from the left, has to be based on confusion. But if you believe that, what other radical things do you believe? How can I trust you on anything? Where's your critical thinking skills? If you say that about biology, how can I believe that you know how the grid runs? How do I know that your policy on industry and business and what the relationship between government and business should be if you're telling me that a man can be a biological woman because the man says so. Because that is such an outrageous, crazy, insane position that where do you go from that point on? And then you go to the border. We know what's happened at the border over the last 4 years. And the American public understands that, okay, things may not be crazy on the border because they're just flying people into the country now without being properly vetted. I saw over the weekend again, when you look at the SAVE Act, part of the spending bill, and it went down to defeat. The vast majority of the Democrats voted against being a citizen to vote in this country,
right,
to vote in federal elections.
Right.
And that's insane.
Right.
Showing ID, in order to prove that you're a citizen.
Right.
Because that's the law. You're supposed to be a citizen to vote in federal elections. All right, so we need ID, and your license, the enhanced license, will show, that you're a citizen and you can vote. And the majority of Democrats voted no. And it drives me crazy. Oh, by the way, I just got my TSA approval. My TSA
you got
approval. It. Just got it right after midnight.
Oh, all right.
And so I've talked about that. I've talked about getting my license last week, and absolutely, you've got to prove who you are to get your license. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, if you want to get TSA pre-check, you got to prove absolutely who you are. If you wish to get your passport, you got to prove without question that you're a citizen of the United States. To vote, you don't. Somehow, voting is a less important issue when it comes to security and integrity of who's actually voting than all those other things?
Yeah, according to the party that claims they want to preserve democracy.
Yeah, exactly. And so it just, all these things, it just, people look at it and go, it doesn't make sense. And she still hasn't. She does interviews, everybody laughs at the interviews. I'll play a side-by-side that somebody put together of Trump being asked a question on how you bring down prices and her. Yeah. And you look at it, you go, yeah. She, to me, and I've seen this a lot on LinkedIn, where you'll have people say, I'd never hire her.
No.
If she was coming, because when you hear her, you say, stop BSing me. It's obvious that she's BSing, and you can see the fear, the paranoia. Did you see how quick she turned around and walked away from the liberal black journalist group last week?
Well, she learns from the best. Joe Biden taught her that move.
She just shook hands like very quickly and turned around, walked right out. Didn't say thank you so much, nothing.
Right.
Just was like, because I think just being in front, being cross-examined, and maybe it's because she was a prosecutor and she doesn't like being cross-examined.
I don't think she has confidence. I don't think she can't talk about where she is. She can't talk about what she actually believes. She comes off as Eric Harley his senior year in high school trying to do an oral book report. And I started this way. I started with, I was raised in a middle-class family.
Oh, my God, those memes are
This is a book. And I mean, I remember the day I had to, and by the way, this was just a few months before I started my radio career. And I thought to myself, when I got the radio job the following September, I thought to myself, well, man, if I can BS my way through that oral book report, then I can definitely do radio.
No.
By the way, it didn't work. I failed drastically. Not at radio. In English class.
Well, and as I told you, when I didn't want to do talk radio, the owner of the station said, you've got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about paranoia.
Yeah.
You talk about, in your mind, every word coming out of your mouth.
You've got to be the content.
Yeah, you've got to be the
You
content.
don't have a song to play. There's no songs to play.
Right. It would be funny if all of a sudden Harris comes up there. All right, we've got a DJ with us tonight for this interview.
Yeah, right.
Let's play some tunes.
Right.
But I remember that, you're talking, you're like, do I know what you're in the middle of it. And this is probably, I'm going to say, especially the first year. I got better because you learned how to avoid topics that you didn't know anything about, which meant you didn't talk about a lot of topics. Yeah, I really didn't. I knew economics, but I really didn't.
Mm.
You know, I could have, it took time to articulate, for example, on economic issues. But that fear that was in there and the lack of confidence when you realize, because you're ad-libbing.
Yeah, right.
By the way, did you see the guy one time where he said we're ad-libbing? Yeah, I could tell there's no facts. Ad-libbing does not mean you don't have facts. Ad-libbing means you don't have a script in front of you. I remember that guy wrote to us. I started laughing. Oh, you guys ad-lib. It's obvious you ad-lib because you don't know what the hell you're talking about. No. You can good ad-lib and you can bad ad-lib. But
ad-lib isn't making it up as you go along.
Right, exactly.
We'll do that in the next segment.
Right. It was interesting that it's like you don't know the definition of ad-lib.
Yeah.
Nowhere in ad-lib does it say, oh, you must be clueless when you ad-lib. No, you can still tap into your brain. It's the fact that you don't have a script. You don't have a script or a teleprompter in front of you.
And when you're running for office, the highest office in the land, you should know your convictions, and people shouldn't.
Right.
In fact, you'd be hard-pressed to keep me from talking. And it's kind of the way Trump is. Trump, honestly, to a fault, he'll talk to anybody, anywhere, anytime. Throw a question, he'll stop and answer the question. We said it during his first term, and it was like, all right, okay, you don't have to answer every question. But he does, and the one thing you cannot say is that he's afraid of the media. She runs from the media. She runs from friendly liberal media. Why? Because she doesn't have the confidence of her convictions.
Well, either she knows she's a leftist or she doesn't even know at this level what she believes.
You're right. It's one of the two.
It's one of the two.
And I don't know where that is. Honestly, it's 50. With me, it's 50-50. I believe she's a radical because of things she's done and said in the past. But I don't know truly what she thinks, or she was just saying those things to get elected or stay elected in California.
Well, they're in the arena of ideas just like we are. Now, they're looking to get in elected office, but they're in the arena of ideas. If you or I came out today and said we're anti-fracking, and that's it, we're not going to explain why, would that be accepted by our listeners?
No.
They would want to know not just what you've done, why you've done it.
Yep.
And that's the thing that you don't get from Harris.
Right.
And nothing has changed at all since she was anointed. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to get the correct analysis of that, as Nancy Pelosi said, since there was an open primary.
This is the BS they hand you. They try and pass along for the truth. Think about that. Oh, we had an open primary. Nobody else wanted to run. Shut up. How many votes did she get? That means she got 100% of the votes, right? No, she didn't.
Well, and you can slowly see around the edges, mostly in local races, but on the federal level too. I don't think the federal government the Democrats in the federal government will change their mind. But there's a reason she took all these MAGA positions,
right? Yeah,
because she knows the American people don't agree with what she's talking about. Oh, and getting back to the ads. The Ted Cruz ad. That's all I've seen is the Ted Cruz ad, the one for the going after him for the radical transgender movement. Very, very effective.
I saw one. I couldn't hear. Right. I couldn't hear the TV. We were in a restaurant Sunday midday. But it was a Cruz ad.
Yeah, Allred is simply running. I've seen two ads.
Mm-hmm.
One is that he's tougher on the border than Trump, than Cruz. I don't think anybody believes that because he has actively come out for open borders in the past. Mm. And the other one is simply, you need to vote for me because I care about Texans and and Ted Cruz cares about himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no explanation as to why.
That doesn't go anywhere.
And I'm thinking to myself, wow, he's trying to run the same campaign as Harris.
No, that's it. And it shows you they really don't have a playbook anymore. The old playbook doesn't work, even though she keeps trying to use it.
Well, they're going to use it if they gain power. They're still going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you see more local Democrats now starting to go, well, this doesn't work. Especially things on like defund the police. But in most of the major cities, they're still implementing the radical ideas. They still haven't changed. And one of the problems they have is because the Republican Party is moving more towards the center and at some points the left.
But to get elected, they know you can't do that. You can't use the old playbook. That's why they keep throwing these things out there, and it keeps boomeranging. I mean, I've never seen this many political boomerangs that were just short-lived. Right as it leaves the hand, comes right back at them.
And there's really nothing over the weekend except the continued criticism of Harris. Really nothing stuck for, there was more on Mark Robinson in Georgia, but nothing on but that's still not hitting on the national level.
No.
I didn't see anything really hit over the weekend. That's why he said, well, let's go home. We'll come back the day after the election. No, if something new breaks, we'll come in.
Well, it's again, something, it would have to be something that we learned for the first time, something significant for the first time about either candidate. I don't see that happening about Trump.
We got a great show ahead, 866-90-RED-EYE.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. Did you know that up to half of all major engine failures are due to poor cooling system maintenance? That's a lot of downtime and can cost drivers big. You expect a lot from your engine, which is why the cooling system must be a part of your maintenance routine. Here's a tip to keep your cooling system in shape and your engine running smooth. Most cooling system issues are due to lack of coolant caused by leaks. Perform a pressure test to make sure no leaks are present. While this may cause the system to fail, you want it to fail in the shop, not on the road. If your pressure test uncovers any leaks in the system, have them repaired by a professional technician immediately.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. So Harris campaign advisor Keisha Lance Bottoms on Friday brushed off Vice President Harris's viral comments about how she would shoot anyone who breaks into her home, calling the remarks on Oprah just a joke.
Yeah, well, she said in that moment that her people are going to have to deal with it, and they did.
If somebody breaks into my house, they're going to get shot. And this is and we pointed this out on Thursday on Thursday night, Friday morning show. We said, wow, here she is. And you know that they've been workshopping that. Okay, we both have guns, we both have guns, we both have guns. How do we work this in? So then she ad libs, I'd shoot, because we got to act a little tougher. It's not good enough that we just have guns. How would we use the guns? I'd shoot somebody who'd break into my house.
Yeah, you break into my house, you're going to get shot. Wow. I'm sorry. What?
What? Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. My staff will have to deal with it. And it's like, oh, yeah, you've convinced a lot of gun owners, well, she's going to be tough in ensuring that we have our Second Amendment rights. She can't even do that.
Well, she's, again, not confident. And she's, again, not capable. You know, when you're not competent, you're not confident.
I like that.
It's what my grandmother always told me.
I like that.
And she's not. She's not either. And there's really, again, no way to coach her into even seeming competent at all.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. So the point on the whole gun thing, that they had to walk back, they had to walk back of Kamala Harris saying, if somebody breaks into my house, I'll shoot him. That was just a joke.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. You workshopped it, and it didn't work with the liberal audience. And here's the reason it didn't work. We don't live in the bubble of today. We remember John Kerry talking about, I believe in the Second Amendment because I carry a rifle for hunting.
As he put on his hunting cap and hunting vest that still had the tags hanging off him. With his limo in the background.
Did you see the video of Walls underneath the hood of a car pointing out the air cleaner?
Yeah.
And somebody's going, God is his stage. He has no idea what the hell he's doing under that hood of the car.
Right.
So dang funny. Because it's so contrived.
Well, it's and this is what there are things about Trump, there are things about other politicians that along the way people learned for the first time. For Trump, it was years ago. It is often genuine, and it will make people consider and go, oh, I didn't know that about that person. And it can be good or bad. What they're trying to do here, and it's failed attempt after failed attempt. The whole thing of, remember a couple of weeks ago, going in and buying Doritos at a store?
Yeah.
What the hell are you doing?
Well, their attempt is, and I've heard it not as much anymore, but I used to hear it a lot where people would say, normal people need to be getting into elections. We need normal people, everyday people to get in. Well, that's what they're trying to portray. And you know something? What we're finding out is Americans right now, they don't want just any everyday person to run. They want somebody who they believe can actually solve the problem. And you've got, Walls underneath the hood of the car, Kamala saying, I own a gun and we're gun owners. And it's like, we're regular Joes. We hunt and, with Waltz and the camouflage and the hat and everything else. He hunts, and they even started off the campaign. Republicans are paranoid against somebody who is a Democrat man who is testosterone-driven and hunts too.
Yeah.
A month later, it was like, Americans want a male who isn't testosterone-driven, who has a feminine side to him. I mean, it's just like, and now it's like, okay, now I'm under the hood of the car. I mean, they're trying to sell the whole damn thing on imagery, just imagery alone. And it's, they're trying to do, to me, 50 different hope and changes, but get more specific on it with the imagery of, I'm underneath the hood of the car and I'm getting the work done on my car. I'm not like Trump, who's a billionaire, who doesn't even probably drive. He only drives a golf cart. I drive a car.
Yeah.
Therefore, vote for me.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I don't think so.
Well, and, they had that luxury back in 2008 with Obama. There was euphoria about the first, potentially at the time in 2008, the first black president being elected. And then beyond that, they had the luxury that is the abstract. What if we can just imagine, and the blah, blah. It's why she keeps bringing up that kind of thought. And by the way, she never completes it. She doesn't have confidence in herself because either she knows it's BS or she's not capable of conveying something that any liberal should be very schooled on how to do. I mean, back in the day, it actually, at the time, was a brilliant strategy, hope and change. Let everybody paint their own canvas. And remember, people were doing just that. Oh, he's going to pay for my car. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. Well, that ended up not being true after 8 years. And I think that, by the way, I think that was part of the beginning of the end of the rock star thing. Well, wait a minute. Hold on a second. What did he actually do for us? People that voted for him. And now you can't live in the abstract.
Well, her problem with the guns is she's trying to ride that fine line. She's trying to convince independents that are gun owners that she's pro-gun. She didn't succeed at doing that, as she has not succeeded in doing that, and neither has Walz. One of the problems is that they always talk about getting rid of assault weapons, but inside the debate of liberals, they know that if they got assault weapons gone, the next thing is what? Because assault weapons may create sensational headlines, whatever assault weapons are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, rifles that may be used. All right,
yeah,
that are involved in multiple person murders. But what do people use the most when it comes to firearms to probably murder 95% of the people murdered through guns in this country?
Handguns.
And that's the whole thing. She's talking about owning a handgun. Do you know how toxic that is for liberals? Just her promoting the fact that she owns the handgun. And then I believe, because, look, they test everything.
Mm-hmm.
And they're probably saying, okay, all right, nobody's really, the pro-gun movement isn't moving closer to you because they believe that you said you owned a gun. Because they don't even know if they believe you're telling the truth or not. And so I think that in the internal polling, and they poll every position that you have, I think it came back, you got to be stronger on it. And I think that was sitting in the back of her mind, and she came out and said, if somebody comes into my house, I'll shoot them. If they break into my house, I'll shoot them. Well, you could see Oprah. She was shocked. She was shocked that she owned a gun. She was shocked. Oprah, who probably has armed security.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't own any gun. Well, I did buy all the guns that my armed security uses, I guess. In that case, I own more guns than most people.
And so that's the problem, that underneath the surface, the so-called, quote, assault weapons, which they cannot define, which kill very few people in this country. If you're talking firearms, it's handguns.
Oh, yeah.
And so she comes out, no, I own a handgun. If somebody breaks into my house, maybe I need to go to that level of tough talk. Well, then she immediately realized her error. I can't do that. The left is going crazy. I'm saying I own a handgun. If somebody comes into my house, I'm going to kill them.
Yeah.
They break into my house. You can't be a leftist and say that, and she knew it, so she had to walk it back. And then her campaign the next day, it was just a joke. It was just a joke. She would never with a handgun shoot somebody breaking into her house. And then anybody who is pro-gun says, well, then why have the gun?
Right.
I mean, isn't that the lie? And
right.
So that's the problem that she has on any issue where she wants to try to attract the independent.
She doesn't know where to go. And by the way, she's a perfect poster child for her party. Because they don't know where to go anymore.
No, they don't.
You know, one of the things that after the whole DeSantis-Newsom debate debacle, Newsom had to crawl back into his blue bubble. And we had said ahead of that, look, here's a guy who's never stepped out of the big blue. It's a pretty big blue bubble, California. But you are so safe. He survived a recall election, and has had no issues in terms of his popularity in California or his electability in California. I'll phrase it that way. Now, you step outside, you go onto the big stage, and you get it handed to you because people are dealing with stuff. It's like, again, it's like walking. It's like walking outside. You had no idea it was raining, and it's the heaviest rain you've ever seen in your life, and you have to run back inside. They don't know where to go. There is no move right now they can make except keep doing the things they are known for doing. Spending, 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 and then enacting radical behavior and circumventing the Constitution. I mean, time after time. Oh, we know the court told us we can't pay off college loans. We'll do it this way. We'll do it that way.
Well, it's interesting that, and this is one thing that hasn't been talked about a lot, that the Democrats, when they promote freedom, they'll say, well, free college, a great job, child care credits. If the government gives you money, that's how you get freedom.
Right.
What they don't talk about is the result of doing all of that, not even getting to that point because I haven't done all of that yet. We see where the spending has gotten it over the last 3.5 years of inflation. Nothing is free. Right. So on the one hand, they're saying freedom is the government giving you stuff, where the other side says freedom is government staying out of it and letting you keep more of what you have. And therefore, you can set the direction of your life. Freedom is government giving you stuff.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to sell.
Right.
But they're not completing the sentence. But because of that, the inflation that you have seen that have right at the verge of destroying financially so many American families comes from that same philosophy that freedom comes from the government giving you stuff. Because if the government gives you everything, then you can do the things that you want.
Yeah. Right.
You see the case that that's not true.
Right.
Why? Inflation.
And, I don't know what's going to happen as a result of the 0.5 point cut from the Fed on interest rates last week. But I do know that if Kamala Harris wins election and she carries enough people, enough Democrats on the down ballot, which I have my doubts, but it could happen. And if that happens, the spending will continue. And you've got plenty of Republicans, by the way, that are okay with too much spending for what conservatives really want, where we draw the line. We've been asking for cuts, and nobody's going to do that. So we could go right back to inflation being, I don't know if it's going to be above 9% again, but it will be an issue, no doubt.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So when we come in and say, okay, we're ready to leave, we still have, no, we're not really ready to leave. We've got a ton of stuff to talk about. But it shows you that this the campaign right now for the presidency is basically over and done, unless there's some type of massive October surprise, and I have no idea what that would be.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, you don't. There was nothing new. I mean, Harris wanting to do a CNN interview or CNN debate on October 23rd, Trump campaign. No, we don't think so.
Yeah,
we already agreed. You're not going to do two in the same network, and we had offered way back. Fox News, we're done.
Right,
and that seemed to go nowhere. It doesn't. You didn't even see if the campaign did come out and say, "Well, he's chicken to debate her." It didn't gain any traction at all.
Nope.
I didn't see anybody in the campaign say it. They might have, but it didn't stick at all because basically, you know where Trump stands,
and she's running from the media.
Yeah.
Forget about a debate. coaching for a debate. Let's talk about doing an impromptu press conference.
And so you look at that behavior and you say, why did she do that? And why did she want it in October?
Right.
Why did she come out in favor of another debate on CNN?
Right.
And I like it. So the CNN anchors could make amends and fact check Trump and not her.
Exactly.
That was hilarious when I saw it. But it might be true.
Well,
they'll reverse what they did last time.
And also, late October, thinking she would get the bump out of it. On CNN, of course, they would have to do their own fact-checking. They would do their fact-checking of Trump and not her. They would help her along. And her campaign clearly believes she would get a bump long enough to last that 2 weeks up to Election Day.
Or they don't like their internal polls right now.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across the USA, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning.
Hello.
And thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
As we start the first week of fall. And our temps are going to drop from the upper 90s to like the low 80s in a day.
Yeah.
So our fall is here.
I was riding around yesterday afternoon, 98 degrees. It's like, all right, this is it. This is it. And I'm ready for a little bit of a cool down. I like the warm weather, but the heat, where we're pretty much near 100 day after day after day after. By the way, this summer wasn't that bad.
No, it wasn't. No.
I can't really complain, but I'm gonna, and I am ready for fall. I like the change in weather. I don't like the shorter days. I like the longer hours, especially my son was talking about getting off work and taking his son to the park. And of course, as we get closer and closer to the winter, I mean, with daylight hours going away in the afternoon, you just don't have any time during the week to get out there and have some fun. So,
I'm becoming more efficient in the use of the 24 hours of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I got from my bicycle a lithium-ion headlight that you charge up, and a back tail light that almost looks like an emergency vehicle on the back. It's so bright.
Oh, yeah.
The LEDs are so bright.
Right.
This thing, I can't believe how bright, when it's on high, the brightness of the front light. But now I've been riding the bike, like Friday night. I rode the bike because it's dark by 8:15 now. I rode the bike from 8:15 to like 9:30, and then yesterday, Sunday morning, I was up at 5 and out on the bike at 5:30 because it's the best thing ever to ride, especially, because as long as people can see you on the bicycle, but there's no traffic out there at 5 in the morning. So I'm making much more efficient use of my 24 hours by riding the bike in the dark.
Yeah.
But it was great. It's but I love fall. I actually love the shorter days. I sleep better, which is one thing, but unfortunately I'm sleeping a lot better now because of your advice that I've been sticking to.
Which is?
Less coffee.
Got to cut back on that caffeine.
1 cup a day.
Yeah.
Is all I have now.
Yeah.
And I did something that I never thought. I mean, I have no quality of life anymore. I bought decaf coffee.
That's the beginning of the end.
What is the purpose of me living?
There really isn't if you if you've paid for decaf.
I mean, and I actually,
I
funny thing was the other day, it's like, well, I feel like a cup of coffee. Let me have a cup of decaf. And after I drank it, I got up and I went, wow, all right, let's get things done. I'm like, oh, placebo effect.
Yeah, and there actually is some. It's minimal, but there is some caffeine in
right
decaf.
Yeah, it's just a little.
You know, and a lot of people can't have caffeinated coffee. I remember Letterman after his heart surgery, and he made a few jokes about decaf, but basically had to cut out the caffeine. And then I saw the article, probably one of the articles you saw recently, that coffee can be good if you have diabetes or this and everything else. It's like, all right. And they always say, what do they say? No more than 3 or 4 cups a day. If I had 4 cups of coffee in one day, 28 years working this shift coming up in December. And there are times when I don't have any coffee at all. When I left here Friday morning, I didn't have any coffee until I came in. I made 1 cup when I came in tonight, and there are some nights I don't make any.
Yeah, I was drinking at least 4, which would have been 2 in the morning, and then my super coffee at night.
Yeah.
And then once in a while, because I wasn't getting to sleep, I'd have another cup of coffee, which would make it 5 a day.
Yeah.
And so I'm cut down to 1. But I did go into my doctor because I was sitting in my doctor's office.
Mm-hmm.
You know, well, I'm going to tell him that I had some problems sleeping, but I cut back coffee, and I 2 days in a row been sleep, and every single day I've been able to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And it's the second shift. The first, when I go home from work, I can sleep.
Right.
It's that second, the shift, before I come into work that I just could not sleep. And you suggested it, and it worked. So since it worked, sleep is actually, I did find out things about me, that sleep is more important than coffee.
Well, that's the thing is that eventually if you get into that cycle of drinking more coffee because you didn't sleep and then drinking more coffee because you didn't sleep, and then the coffee has less of an effect, you build up a tolerance. And then you don't understand why. Oh, well, wait a minute. And usually in many cases, well, I can get to sleep. I can't stay asleep.
Yeah.
And for me, that's a telltale of caffeine, too much caffeine.
Yeah. So you diagnosed me correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like, and this was the doctor's appointment when I went in,
mm-hmm.
and, the nurse asked you, so have you been depressed lately? Any suicidal thoughts?
Mm-hmm.
And I finally gave my answer.
Mm.
I said, you should ask me if I have suicidal thoughts if I cancel the doctor's appointment. If I keep the doctor's appointment, it means I want to be healthy.
Right.
Which means I want to live.
Right.
So me being here should answer. And I was saying it sarcastically. She's just shaking her head. I told it to the doctor. I said, I hope your nurse knows I was just kidding around. He goes, everybody does. And I told him what I said. But that was like when he told me the one time, he said, you want the good news or the bad news about your type 2 diabetes? And this was after I had it for like 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I said, give me the good news. And he said, or give me the bad news first. He goes, type 2 diabetes is going to kill you. I go, what's the good news? He goes, you'll be 120 when it does. I said, oh, okay, so the whole goal is to have something else kill me. And he goes, yeah. I said, well, I can't wait till the day that I come in with terminal cancer and say, doctor, we beat diabetes. He goes, you're really sick.
Yeah.
It's like, I know.
Yeah, it's, I was looking at things, looking at the math on on Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
And so this information was sent to me, and it was like, and then at the age of 85, and I'm like, man, you're kind of pushing it. And then it's like, and then if you're fortunate enough at the age of 95, I'm like, dude, come on. Now, my dad is 91. My mom's near 90. And so genetically, there's a little bit working for me. But nearly 3 decades of working third shift and dealing with Democrats. It's not the third shift It's dealing with liberals. That's what's causing all the damage. It's I look at it. I feel blessed. And I think I'm doing all right for a guy my age. Am I 85 yet? I forget how. I must be at least 80. But
You're 10 years younger than I am.
okay, whatever that. Ooh, that doesn't help. But the whole thing.
And by the way, don't mention anything about anything that's happening to me this week.
Yeah, your birthday? I won't. Are we on the air? Who said that? What?
It's no longer a celebratory thing in my life.
So today, Monday, is my youngest daughter's birthday. And she turns 28. Can you believe that?
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I think to myself, and we took her out for brunch yesterday, and we're hanging out with some family members. And I did kind of put the bug in her ear. I said, the older you get, the less of a celebration it is. She goes, come on, Dad. Now, she went out with friends Friday night. She went out with friends Saturday and went out with family on Sunday. That's a birthday weekend. That right there is a birthday weekend. So, I said, look, you packed it in. You got a 3-day celebration and we still have, your birthday to celebrate on your birthday. So I told her, I was just joking with her. I said, yeah, the older you get, the less celebratory it is.
Actually, I celebrate every birthday.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. I mean, I'm kidding when I say, faking that I'm depressed, because I'm not at all. Because it's better than the alternative.
I'm on the fence on that one, but it's.
You know what made me feel old this weekend?
What?
Having YouTube and Shuffle. And all of a sudden, there's a bunch of these ex-mobsters that now are doing podcasts about the mobster life.
Right.
And the one was interviewing Sammy Gravano. Remember?
Yeah.
Sammy the Bull?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, where is he? There's only this elderly old man who looks like he's going to drop dead any second. Oh, that's Sammy Gravano. If you remember the pictures.
Yeah, right.
When he was working for Gotti, I mean, he was this big. It's like, oh my God, am I old? Because I remember when he was young.
Right.
When he looked young. I mean, when he looked like he was probably in his 40s at that point.
Right. Yeah.
But he's 79 now.
Wow, that's far past the life expectancy of a mobster.
Oh, you're right.
By at least 30 years.
You're right. But you know what I'm going to do for my birthday? My present? I'm going to the driving range Tuesday, driving range Thursday. I'm going to try to golf Friday for the first time in 11 months.
All right.
So I figured what else would be a better birthday present for me, right?
Right. Yeah, play some golf.
Get out there on the golf course.
Right.
How I'm hitting it. So
yeah.
But
all
right. So the question is, coming up next, we'll have some audio. Who the hell's running the White House? Campaign's going on. Who in the hell is running the White House? Two things happened since we were last on the air with you.
I mean,
both mind-boggling.
I've had this theory, and it's interesting because it was the day that weird plea deal came down with Hunter. It's like they go to lunch and they come back, and then Hunter steps up and does a plea deal, and he was asked by the court, so you plead guilty to all the elements here? And he said yes, and I thought, wow. Now, everybody like me in that moment said, oh, man, Biden is going to pardon his son. And I think Karine Jean-Pierre was asked that day or the following day. And it was like, no, he's not going to pardon. He's not going to pardon. He's not going to pardon. What about Kamala pardoning him? What if, for whatever reason, he steps down early, whether she wins or not?
Or as soon as the election's over, Trump wins. He doesn't need to win an election again. He can pardon him.
Yeah, he could just go back. But that would be ridiculous because Joe Biden would never go back on his word. I'm pausing for
By the way,
laughter.
when we talk about this, do not say Obama's running the White House. I saw that over the weekend. I don't know why so many people are stuck on that.
Obama doesn't want any part of it.
And they don't want any part to do with him.
No.
But who's running the White House? Because clearly Biden isn't.
And Obama doesn't want, by the way, anything to do with Kamala.
But
either.
But when you had the cabinet meeting and he spoke a couple of seconds and turned it over to Jill, I've never seen anything like that in my life. That
bizarre.
was absolutely the most bizarre thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
And at the point, everybody went, who the hell's running the White House? And it doesn't matter if Republicans say, look, the guy should resign. Democrats will not, even though Democrats know. Remember, Democrats lied to the American public about it for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't care if the executive branch is not under a capable person. They don't care.
Doesn't matter.
Understand where they stand. They don't care.
Millions are still going to vote for her.
Yeah. But we'll have the audio of, wow, when he was at the podium the other day. That was just horrible.
Yeah.
All coming up, 866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Surviving and thriving as an owner-operator has just as much to do with managing costs as it does with generating revenue. Understanding basic principles of operating costs can save you thousands of dollars a year. Costs are not the same each month. If 9,600 miles are driven one month and 10,000 miles the next, two different sets of costs apply for each month. For example, if your tractor payment is $1,850 per month and you drive 9,600 miles in the month, your tractor payment is costing you 19.3 cents per mile. Drive 10,000 miles, though, and that same payment will cost you 18.5 cents per mile. This is one of your major fixed costs while paying off a truck loan. The difference in this example is only a fraction of a cent, which may seem like small change, but it ultimately amounts to $960 more annually on the bottom line. Because though fixed costs do not go down over time, you can reduce your cost per mile with more paid miles. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics. Brought to you by Shell Rotella, with advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right, let's play this audio cut. This is from on Friday when Biden completely forgot that he was at a press conference with the Prime Minister of India and was supposed to introduce him.
Yeah.
This is just, and that along with Jill running the cabinet meeting the other day, him turning it over to her, just two of the examples that he's not running the White House.
No.
Here it is. Here we go.
So I want to thank you all for being here. And now, who am I introducing next? Who's next?
Distinguished guests, the Prime Minister of the Republic of India.
So I want to thank you all.
Yeah, the frustration you hear, him barking.
Yep.
Who's next?
Yep.
Not good. Not good at all. Again, combined, as you mentioned, with his wife running the cabinet meeting.
I mean, we're at I don't know, what's the right word? Unparalleled times in American history. Nothing like this has ever happened.
No, and
well, I mean, it might have if you look at, for example, Roosevelt with his injuries and stuff like that. But did anybody think that he lost his cognitive abilities to be the president of the United States? Right. This is the first president that the entire nation knows. The entire nation knows. Every Democrat knows. And they lied about it to the American people.
Yep.
For 3 years.
Yep, and their party helped them, and the media helped them.
And they know he's not capable of running the presidency. They all know it. Every Democrat listening right now knows it.
And
They don't care. They're okay with it.
Yep. And I don't know what you do. I don't know what happens from here because I guess they just see if they can just keep duct taping this thing together until January 20th. It's not November 5th. It's January 20th he has to stay in. And I have my doubts as to whether he can make it that long. You haven't seen him. He hasn't done much. And when he does, you just heard an example of what it's like. And that can't continue. That absolutely cannot continue.
Join the conversation. 1-866-90-RED-EYE. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. And look, everybody knows that somebody else is running the White House. Yeah, let's play Karine Jean-Pierre from Friday, okay?
All right.
And this, I think, is the reporter from CBS.
There's going to be plenty of opportunities. It's not like we're not allowing all of you to see many other things that are going to develop throughout the day. I mean, I just went through them. A quad family photo. He's going to take them to his high school. Other opportunities. There is this
They're
one.
all photo ops. That's what you've created. They're not a press conference, which we would prefer.
And what I was
going
to suggest is what baffles people in this room, especially for those who are watching this and wondering why on earth do we harp on these kinds of things. What baffles us is this is a president who from day one committed to be the most transparent president possible, who has given speeches at various events saying that he stands for and respects the freedom of the press. And here is a great opportunity to stand with the leader of the world's largest democracy, India, and two other key democracies, who are from a region of the world that is struggling to maintain democracy. Why not face questions from reporters and a free press?
And again, goes on to say, but he takes pictures and he'll answer under a airplane jet engine.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's just that the thing is that's something that everybody knows about Biden, and they can tell the same thing's going on with Harris. She's only doing friendly interviews, not performing well in those, and she completely ignores any press conference or any interview. For example, Oprah's not going to ask her, and follow up when she gave the gun question that she backed off on. Oprah should have said, do you mean it? Would you use your gun in self-defense? Because think about it. With the campaign backing off on that, when she said, someone is breaking into my, if someone breaks into my house, I'll shoot him. Mm-hmm. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Oh, I'll hear it from, my staff. And then a spokesperson the next day said that was just a joke. So then anybody who is, as I said, an independent person who has a legal handgun, well, one of the reasons they have them is for self-defense. Is she saying that she wouldn't defend her own property with the handgun? Then why does she own one? And then the next thing was that Democrats were saying, well, we all know that handguns, you could see it on social media. I don't know why she's promoting the fact that she has a handgun and that she would kill someone, shoot someone who broke into her house, and then she backed off on it. We know that handguns commit the majority of firearm deaths in the nation. So why is she promoting this? But she cannot. Oprah didn't ask her the follow-up. Wait a minute. Clarify this, will you? Clarify, why did you change on fracking? And they just won't do it. I saw Fetterman ask the question. Why are we talking about fracking? Nobody cares about fracking.
Yeah, and he's from Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he finally said, and I'm pro-fracking as so is she. And they're like, well, you're not pro-fracking.
No, yeah, and you know she's not.
You've come out about, Fetterman's come out about fracking in the past.
Right.
Oh, you're taking it all out of context.
Right.
He's lying.
Yeah. And he knows she's lying.
Yes. Everybody knows. Every Democrat knows she's lying about fracking.
Well,
now, and the public isn't stupid. In fact, want me to play that back-to-back? You remember the back-to-back thing that I played earlier in the show? Or not on the show, but I want to play this back-to-back here. It's a little long audio cut, but it shows you the difference between Trump and her answering a question basically on inflation. All right, here we go.
How are you going to bring down the cost of food and groceries?
Good. Very good. Thank you. So we have to start always with energy. Always. I don't want to be boring about it, but there's no bigger subject. It covers everything. If you make donuts, if you make cars, whatever you make, energy is a big deal. And we're going to get that. It's my ambition to get your energy bill within 12 months down 50%. If I can do that, you've done a hell of a job. 5-0, not 15, 50. Interest rates are going to follow, and actually they're going to follow for another reason. The economy is now not good, and interest rates, you'll see they'll do the rate cut and all the political stuff tomorrow, I think. And, will he do a half a point? Will he do a quarter of a point? But the reason is because the economy is not good. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to do it. But we're going to get interest rates down, and we got to work with our farmers. Our farmers are being decimated right now. They're being absolutely decimated. And, one of the reasons is we allow a lot of farm product into our country, and we're going to have to be a little bit like other countries. We're not going to allow so much We're going to let our farmers go to work.
We really would love to know what your plan is to help lower the cost of living.
Yeah, first of all, thank you both for being here. And yours is a story I hear around the country as I travel. And in terms of both rightly having the right to have aspirations and dreams and ambitions for your family and working hard and finding that the American dream is, for this generation and so many recently, far more elusive than it's been. And we need to deal with that.
What?
Now, she did go on, I will say, in to intellectual honesty, she did talk about, things, well, like the housing thing that she do, $25,000 for a house, whatever. But as everybody has noted, even people on the left, that's not an answer to the question of how you're going to lower prices now.
No.
And that doesn't lower prices on homes. It does not. Free money has never lowered the price of a home.
Government money, if you increase the government money that is handed over for said purchase, that item's going to go up about the same amount that the government money amount is. So expect it to be at least $25,000 per house.
But the fact is, you see, Trump gets right to the answer. Here's what I do. Energy, this, and this, and this. And, by energy, he means expanding, making it a national priority. And you and I have talked about this. One of the goals of the United States needs to be super low energy prices.
Yep. You start with that. Right. You start with that base program, that base goal. And it has to be a long-term energy plan, which is to say he has to build a consensus on Capitol Hill to enact long-term policy on low-cost energy.
But he answers the question with specific. She starts going into the aspirations, and as soon as you do that, especially since Trump is so quick to say, here's what I do, and everybody knows that his goal would be to produce much more energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not complicated.
Right.
You drill more.
Yeah.
That's it. You drill more, nuclear power.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the answer right there. And so he gets right to it. She starts BSing you. And everybody knows it. They're used to it now. It's like she's not going to answer the question. That's become part, just like the things that she said about, the part of the BS is I come from a middle-class family. That's why you see all the memes. I saw one, I forgot who, it was on social media, and it was P. Diddy in the interrogation room, and he's saying, well, I was born into a middle-class family.
Yeah.
And you've seen the memes all over the place. You know, I like the wife yelling at the husband on the couch who's, eating chips and a beer or whatever in the recliner, and she says, when are you going to get all the work done around the house? I was born in a middle-class family, and the reason that becomes a meme and part of the culture is because it's obvious BS, and everybody knows it. And so in order to do that, it was really incredible the way there are some things that work if they're repetitive. But if they're BS and you keep repeating them, the entire public understands at that point, those are just talking points that you're repeating that have nothing to do with the question. And now I believe, especially after Walls and the whole him being under the car hood, taking out the air filter, and her talking about owning a gun, and him dressed in the camouflage and the rifle, they want to promote what they're trying to promote to independents what they are not, and independents aren't buying it. They look at it and say, stop BSing me, because that's what it is. Answer the question. Tell me why you're pro-fracking. Because Biden said he would be, as a reporter from CBS asked, would be the most transparent president in American history, and he's probably, you can make an argument, in the modern era with television and electronic communications, he's been one of the least transparent.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and
might be the least transparent in the modern era.
Right. And it's, there's an issue, because that gets back to the question, who's running the country?
Yeah.
Nobody believes Joe's capable of doing it. Joe Biden doesn't have the power to do it, and the vice president isn't capable of doing it. I can't remember a time like this. I can't remember a scenario like this that wasn't written by Hollywood.
Yeah.
It really is. It's one of those movies that's like, well, yeah, but that would never happen, because they'd probably have a beat pick that could stand in and go, no.
Nope. I never thought, going back, a few years back, I never thought that we would be in this situation where the entire world and the United States population knows that we have a president who is not in charge and not capable of running the White House. The whole world knows it. Every Democrat knows it. Every Democrat knows that the Democrats lied about it, and they're all okay with it.
And our enemies know it.
And one of the reasons they were okay with it for such a long time is they never wanted to see Kamala Harris as president.
No.
The reason that they hid the fact that Biden's cognitive abilities were gone and he couldn't run the White House is they believe that somebody else running the White House for Biden is better. This is Democrats' narrative just a couple months ago. Biden being a completely cognitive nightmare, running trying to run the presidency and not successfully doing it, was better than a Kamala Harris running it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what's so, as I call it, I'm in awe, but it's a perverted awe, because you cannot actually believe what's going on in this country, that the entire world knows that the executive branch is not being run by the president.
Well, and there is no answer as to how to fix it.
Well, there is. The Democrats will never approach it.
Well, no, I mean, that's what I mean. There's no way, because the vice president's not going to be involved in the 25th Amendment thing. It's not going to happen. His cabinet members aren't going to do that. So there's no way to fix it. It's not going to happen between now and January 20th. And our enemies know this. Our enemies know full well what they can get away with. And heaven help us if she wins. Look, Putin wants her to win. North Korea, Kim Jong-un wants her to win. They know she's weak.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up following the top of the hour. This is written by Politico. Democrats privately worry the Teamsters non-endorsement is a warning sign. Who said that the other day?
Yeah, a couple of guys on the radio, and I think they should worry. And I suspect they've been worried for a long time that this isn't new. But the word getting out was a problem. Look, you weren't going to convince union leadership to endorse a Republican for president. They could never do that. But the closest thing you'll ever get to that is a non-endorsement of a Democrat. And there's a number of things I think here that led up to this. I mean, I think we all see the picture as to what's going on, and we've known even union leadership before all of this, long before all this, months ago, talked about union members not supporting then Biden when he was in the race. They were instead supporting Trump. Well, now we're down to the wire, and I think Democrats should be worried.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I want to play this from a first-time voter in Wisconsin being interviewed, okay?
All right.
A young kid, okay? Here we go. So, must be, 18, 19. Here we go.
Here in Battleground, Wisconsin, first-time voter Bradley Galvin tells us he thinks Trump will improve the economy.
I feel like he was one of the first politicians that kind of just says what he wants and doesn't try to pretend someone he's not.
There you have it right there. You know, one of the things she tries to do clearly in her botched phrasing, she tries to sound intellectual. Say what you will about Trump, you really can't make that case about him. He's just trying to get a point across. He tries to be as direct as possible, and there are things that he says that we disagree with. There are times that he phrases things, and they may not make sense, but you can't make the case that he's trying to be something he's not. When she starts now, the memes are everywhere. Well, I was born into a middle-class family. All of that was coached. All of that is part of the research that comes back to them, the whole story in Politico about the Teamsters Union, and Democrats are worried about the non-endorsement from the Teamsters. It's all intertwined. It's all connected. It's the same reason that she's going out there saying, I was born into a middle-class family. I was born into they're trying to connect because their call-out showed, their internals show, they are not connecting with the middle class. And we pointed this out and have for a number of years now. The Democrats are no longer the working class party. The Republicans, I'll say, are closer to the working class party, certainly on what they want to accomplish. by far above Democrats. And their research was coming back to them saying, you got to mention working class. You got to pretend you're working class, middle class. You got to pretend. You got to say it. You got to say it. You can't just say it.
And this past, since Thursday, it was guns and cars.
Yeah.
But they had to back off on guns.
Right.
And then, as I was thinking when Waltz was under the car, I went, well, that's got an air cleaner in. That's a internal combustion engine. The left
First thing I thought of. Yeah.
The left isn't going to like that. But the mocking saying, he's not dirty at all. He's not really doing anything in a car.
Right.
He's just pretending.
All right.
It's like, and that's the thing. Whether he was pretending or not, the narrative is they're not really middle class, but they're trying to play that they're middle class, where Trump doesn't try to play that he's middle class.
Well,
I'm a billionaire.
Yeah.
But I know what to do. And I really think that if this election goes Trump's way, my belief would be that the public knows they've been BS for the longest time and is finally sick of it.
Yeah. Well, and it would also, because I want to see what the down ballot does, everything. I'm so intrigued as to where this goes. And I am worried that it doesn't go Trump's way. But if it does go Trump's way, especially in a big way, in a very decided way that he wins, I was looking at more and more polls over the weekend. I'm like, I can't trust anything here. I can't trust anything here. I can't trust the movement. The Quinnipiac poll the other day, +5 in Pennsylvania for Harris.
Well, remember, they were the worst poll in 20. They were almost off 9 points.
I think they're trying to beat that record.
2020.
Yeah.
Well, but still, what you get out of the polls is, even if they're more favorable for Harris now, you take the Real Clear Politics, or not, was it the Real Clear Politics? Real Clear Politics. She's up 2.2%.
Mm-hmm.
Now, remember, even Rasmussen, that had Trump losing at this time, has Trump up by 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at it, there's really almost a 4.5-point difference, even if you take into effect that they've all been skewed. There's a 4.5-point difference in the polling between then favorable towards Biden that isn't there for Harris.
Yeah, you said Biden, you mean Trump?
No.
Oh, when Biden was in, you mean?
When Biden was in, yes.
Okay.
When Biden was in, back in 2020, he was up like 6.6,
Mm-hmm.
and she's up 2.2. So
Right.
even looking at the possibility, and we don't trust anything right now. We look. I still think that if you look at Trafalgar, and if you look at Inside Advantage, and you look at Rasmussen, you're probably closer to where the election is. And if the election is anywhere near Trump being even in the popular vote, he wins the election.
Yeah.
Actually, the news over the weekend was that I don't even know what poll it was. I just saw the headlines that Virginia's a dead heat.
Yeah, which would be interesting. Look, even where they are right now, if you said, all right, for the sake of observing, let's say the polls are accurate, everything is, well, actually, outside of that one Quinnipiac poll, most everything is well within margin of error territory.
Right.
And that's a problem for Democrats. Again, Trump is a known quantity. I really think where we are right now, the only undecided is whether or not people are going to vote, if they're going to show up. They've got to be worried about turnout. This Politico story about the Teamsters, and that they're worried about this Teamsters non-endorsement, that they didn't get it. They should be worried. Because even aside from which party connects with the working class, not that that's a small thing. It's a big deal. It's also about, the confidence in being able to do the job. It really is about being able to get things done. Unions have come out and union leadership has endorsed a number of Democrats who we knew weren't qualified, who we knew would wreck the economy and certainly hurt industry, including the industries that those Teamsters work in. We've seen that happen before. Obama, the coal miners union in West Virginia, endorsing him in 2008 after he said he wanted to kill the industry, their industry.
Right.
And
we've always thought about the meeting that the union leadership had to have on that one.
Right.
All right. Who is the one who wants to keep our industry going? Oh, that guy. All right. Who is the guy that wants to destroy and kill our industry and make it go bankrupt? That'd be that Obama guy. Well, then we got to vote for that Obama guy. He's going to destroy our jobs.
Yeah.
Is everybody learning to code?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. That presidential candidate doesn't exist yet.
Right. Well, I'm union leadership. My pension's solid. I don't have to worry about it. Well, those times are behind us because of reality, the reality that the Democratic Party has created.
Politico had that article that we talked about this the other day. We said, okay, let's say those polls are true. Huge disparity in union voters. And they have it right here, Democrats. And we had said, does that extrapolate out? Why would that be just for union workers? And what got me is on Friday morning show when we played the Steamfitters Union business manager from a local in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
And when they said, why is your membership? And he said his membership 70-30 is voting for Trump. When asked why, he never mentioned any union ideas. Everything was based on inflation and illegal and the immigration policy of the Biden administration. It was amazing. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, so if that's it, because you can make the case, well, it's just about their union negotiations with management that they believe Trump would help them better with. I don't know how.
Well,
but it's not that. As we stated, it's obvious. You look at the United Auto Workers. It's obvious they betrayed their union by agreeing with the climate change agenda and that they were going to produce electric vehicles. They basically told their union, "We're going to kill you."
Yeah.
That this isn't the management of the company. This is the union leadership. We're going to kill you. We're going to agree with the company to produce a product that cannot make a profit, even with government subsidies. And then to help you out, we're going to scream that unions and union members should be getting their wages subsidized by the taxpayer, too, since they're subsidizing the company. Now, any union worker would have to look at that and say, any person who has any critical thinking skills, are you out of your freaking mind?
It's the West Virginia Coal Miners Union all over again.
Yeah.
They can say it out loud. Again, going back to the meeting, union leadership in West Virginia. All right. Which one literally said he would bankrupt our industry? Obama. He's the guy.
Yeah.
Hope and change.
And then by 2012, they just didn't make any endorsement.
Right.
Well, we can't keep the guy. We can't vote for the guy who says he's still going to save us. We'll stay neutral so people will think that we still support. Some people will think that we still support the guy who has pledged to kill our industry.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
Right. No, but it doesn't have to for them. Union leadership has been working against the interests of their members for a long time.
By the way, that's not how you build a strong union.
It isn't. And what have we seen on the numbers?
Yeah.
The only growth is in public unions.
Yeah. Which is why Harris got the coveted IRS union endorsement.
Was anyone actually seeking that out? Well, though, their union membership grew by 80,000. I mean,
that is true.
If you're going to grow jobs in that department, in that sector, then
right. Trump has not promised 80,000 new jobs for the IRS.
No. The numbers tell the story. Yeah.
Kamala Harris wants to increase employment in the IRS.
Right. And it's so telling, though. She gets
the coveted.
The Teamsters say no, and the IRS union. Oh, yeah. No, we're full in. Definitely. Wow. Seriously, that's a 1-2. But it's indicative of where we are and what the mindset is. And you're right. The steam fitters, well, they're mentioning things that they're mentioning the real life issues that their members have to deal with, like all middle class and working class Americans. It was mentioned, and he didn't get into union issues because everything else is what counts. Everything else, it's killing them because they get it. Imagine this: you're a union member, you get what you think or your union thinks is a great deal done, and then all of a sudden, inflation over 9%, and you're dealing with. And because they're dealing with everything that everybody deals with. And over again, they thought that they had increased their buying power with a good deal, and it didn't help. You can't overcome the inflation. You lost your buying power, and now what you're making isn't enough.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I don't know. I sense that I don't know if this is really a Trump ad or it was put together because it doesn't come from the Trump campaign. It says new Trump ad just dropped, but it doesn't come from the campaign. Normally we play these things, and this is when they play. This is the becoming more frequent from the Trump campaign, playing Walz and Harris in their own words. And then Trump saying that he endorses it. But here's this one from Walz over the weekend.
We can't afford 4 more years of this. I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Sounds like it's edited, so.
Yeah.
But it's still great.
Yeah, it's...
Because that one got plenty. It's like...
well, because that's what, again, it's the left, the Harris and Walz and their surrogates are still trying to make you believe Donald Trump is president now and that Harris is not part of the current administration and had nothing to do with the current situation we're in. We can't afford 4 more years of this. And they keep saying that like he's current president. Well, he's not. And they don't get away with it. I just think that we're in such a time right now where, my gosh, it's not that it's not just that everything is broken. It's that everybody's looking around going, what's happening right now? Who's in charge of the White House? How did this happen? How did somebody that got 0 votes from voters end up as the nominee? It's just over and over again. You know, over the weekend when the whole thing came down, Harris has accepted the invitation by CNN for the October 23rd debate. Nope. Absolutely not. You want to do, and they won't agree to it. They're not going to do a Fox News debate. I think that sealed the deal on Harris agreeing to a Fox News debate. But it's already over for Trump. He's already said. I think he's been consistent for about a week now. No more debates. The Trump camp has finally realized that, and I think they're seeing maybe their internals are showing what we have been saying and been saying this morning, that everything's already factored in. Everything about both candidates is already known. The whole thing about her, if she's not going to say it, then she doesn't want people to know where she stands. We know where she is. I think many, if not most independents, know where she stands politically, what she believes, what she wants to do. They know she's a radical. The evidence isn't hard to find.
I think one thing that really surprised, we'll talk about this coming up on the bottom of the hour, that really, really surprised the mainstream media, because I just did a Google search. Everybody had this as a pretty big headline, was her not participating in the Al Smith Memorial Foundation dinner, which is just a traditional.
Right.
I mean, that's basically, for Catholic Charities in New York City. It's a white tie dinner. It's a big thing. I think that some of the things that may not shock anybody else out there, the average person, I believe just for the response to that was like, my God, she won't even do that.
Right.
We'll get to that coming up.
From the Uniden America Studios.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Yeah, we said it last week. We said when the Teamsters polling came out, the Teamsters polling, and then the representative from the steam fitters. Now, it was a local in New York City, but you're talking New York City.
Yeah.
Where it is New York City. It's not exactly the bastion of conservatism.
Right.
And he said 70-30, the Steamfitters Union local in New York, has said that they're going to vote for Trump. The article came out, Politico wrote it, which, again, is as far left as you can get. Democrats privately worry the Teamsters' non-endorsement is a warning sign. 8 years after Donald Trump shattered the blue wall, some Democrats worry he could do it again. Most polls show Kamala tied or leading Trump in the crucial battleground states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin after commanding blah, 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 blah. After a commanding performance at the debate.
Okay. All right.
So this is very important to understand what I'm reading from. After a commanding performance at the debate, which, of course, was ridiculous.
Yeah.
We saw she didn't get a bump from it. And as we will tell you that the most accurate polling of 2020, and again, that may mean nothing for this year. But if they're going to look at the most inaccurate polling to make their case, I'll go after the most accurate polling to make our case of 2020. That seems reasonable, doesn't it?
Sure.
And I've laid out what we're using as compared to what they're using.
Right.
But if you look at Inside Advantage, Inside Advantage?
Insider Advantage?
Insider Advantage. Is it Insider Advantage? Yes. And I think it's Insider Advantage. But it's the three of the top 4 polls.
Yeah.
All show Trump winning. Of the top polls from 2020, the most accurate polling. So I wouldn't necessarily say that she had a commanding performance at the debate.
No.
But they say the Teamsters withholding an endorsement of Harris this week after internal polling showed most respondents backing Trump is sparking fresh concerns that the GOP nominee could have a higher-than-expected support among union workers, especially men. Labor leaders and other sectors attest that, like in 2016 and 2020. Candidly, Trump has a solid base of working-class people that have bought into his message, as said Jimmy Williams, president of the International Union of Painters and Allied Trades, which has endorsed Harris. It's movable and it's been moving, but it's not like some tide that's turned. Some Teamsters leaders have questioned the methodology of the polling, showing Trump winning majority support among the union workers. But one pro-Harris union official who gained anonymity to speak freely spoke in dire terms about it. The person said it is a red flag that is reminiscent of the 2016 election when Hillary Clinton underperformed among union households despite winning the majority of top labor endorsements. Hard not to have Hillary Rodham Clinton flashbacks right now. Whew. I don't like that term at all. I'm sure Bill doesn't either.
Yeah.
To be honest, that stuff...
I didn't know that was a thing.
That stuff might be wrong beneath the surface. I hope it's not. So there you go.
Well,
and that most of the people they interviewed were Democrats saying, "Oh, we're very confident for Harris and all that." I don't believe they are.
No, they're not. And I believe that they're probably seeing, their internals are showing that she's not exciting their base of voters to the point that I think the party's probably very concerned about turnout. They were when Joe was in. They were greatly concerned. They were saying it out loud. They were concerned about the down ballot.
Well,
it's not just that Trump wins. It's that Trump wins and Democrats don't show up in big numbers. That spells disaster for a down ballot.
Well, the uniqueness of this election, one of the reasons it's so hard to call, is I don't know the last time that you've never had an election like this, but you have had the things that Democrats have been absolutely against for the last decade.
Mm-hmm.
Fracking is one of them.
Yep.
And fracking is about energy and lowering prices, and Trump's doing, I think, a decent job in selling that. Look, if we lower, how are you going to lower the price of food? We're going to massively lower energy by producing so much more of it, and energy is a huge cost for farmers. Well, makes sense to me, right?
Yep.
What's she going to do? Well, we want to look at the positives of this country and promote joy, and it's like blah, 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 blah. And so that is a huge problem, I think, for Democrats when you have the candidate that was not picked by the voter, the Democratic voter, but by the elite Democrats in the party, the Politburo of the Democratic Party, to have the old Soviet Union reference there, that they picked her. Nancy Pelosi was lying last week when she said it was an open primary.
Right.
Every Democrat knows Nancy Pelosi was lying. Some may be okay with it. A lot are okay with it. Is everybody okay with it? Is everybody okay on the left with her taking, and it's accurate to say that she's taking and has taken the most popular MAGA issues and said, I believe in them too. But I won't explain why I changed my mind, and now I believe that Donald, because that's what she's saying is, and that's one of the things Trump should say. By her saying it, she knows that's what the voter wants. She's saying Trump is right on the issues.
Right. Yeah.
That's why she's taking these, because she knows that the American public will not accept, where she stands. And so that's unique in itself. I've never seen that. I don't remember the last time a Democrat came around and said, I'm going to send the message that the person I'm running against was right on all the major issues. In fact, we're going to tell you on the issue that we demonized him the most on, and that's immigration, we're going to let you know that he was right but not right enough, and we're going to be more strict on the border than he is.
And on climate change.
Yeah.
Our central tenet as a party. I'm pro-fracking.
Yep. Now, we all know she's not.
Mm-hmm. But why would she lie
right.
and use that lie?
So that's one of the problems in reading this election. How do the independents respond that they look at Trump and they go, okay, we want to go back to that economy.
Right.
And then she embraces, she co-opts all of Trump's major issues. How do they look at that? Do they believe it? Do they say, no, that's not possible? Do some Democrats get angry? And then to get to the low light or highlight, however you wish to look at it, of her co-opting Trump and conservative policies and the bizarreness of her last week with Oprah saying she owns a handgun and would shoot somebody who broke into her home and then had to backtrack on it. No, she was a joke. She wouldn't shoot anybody breaking into her home. Well, then why the hell does she own a handgun?
Right.
And then the other side of it, the far left that doesn't want to hear that you own a handgun and you would shoot somebody coming into your house because we know what the slippery slope is here. You first ban a certain set of weapons that you can't even identify.
Well, the far left is worried, even if they don't believe she would shoot somebody who broke in, they believe that the gun might shoot somebody who broke in.
But they want to ban, the whole thing is to ban assault weapons, whatever they define them as, because we don't know how they define assault weapons. Just like a woman, they can't define what an assault weapon is. By the way, I'm not trying to say that a woman is like an assault weapon.
No, we'll be making that point in the next segment.
But once they ban certain types of rifles, then they'll ban more rifles, and then we know because you could see it on social media over the weekend, Friday over the weekend, going, why is she promoting handguns? Handguns actually kill more than assault weapons. Why is she saying that she would shoot somebody coming through the door with a handgun? But she wants to ban rifles, but the rifles don't even cause 5%, probably less than 1% of murders and killings are because of the rifles that she wishes to ban. And the vast majority come from handguns. Why is she promoting that? Nothing she does makes any sense. Nobody buys into it. The left knows she's lying. The right knows she's lying. The middle knows she's lying. So
unless she's so clueless about guns, she believes handguns can only shoot people in the hand. I don't know. I had to include. This is where we are.
That is so dumb. It was funny.
It's so dumb. It might be true.
I know.
That's where we are. I can't tell you.
Well, California immediately after she said that looked at their licensing process to find out whether everybody's being properly vetted or not once they found out she has a handgun.
Well, the lawmakers and governor are so concerned about artificial intelligence. I believe most of her intelligence is artificial. How do you write that law?
So that's everyone knows she's lying about when she's co-opted the MAGA agenda.
Yeah, there's nobody who believes she did a 180 to seem more like Trump.
And we mentioned Roy Teixeira, from the Liberal Patriot, who was talking about that she needed to be more MAGA.
I mean, slow your roll. He didn't mean overnight. But she basically did exactly what Teixeira
and Douglas,
suggested
and
then.
Douglas Schoen suggested, yes.
That Biden, it was back when Biden was still in.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, okay, we'll just do that. The problem is you can't.
It's got to be believable. We're right now in an election where the overwhelming population agrees with Trump on the issues, understands that she's lying, but there are still a significant number of people that will say, doesn't matter, she's not Trump.
Right.
But there really are no issues in this. They're all talking issues, and to me, it's becoming blah, 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 because it doesn't matter anymore. The election on the issues has been settled. Yeah. People want Donald Trump on the issues. Mm-hmm. They want her because she's not Trump.
Exactly.
They're still promoting January 6th, but, the emails and stuff that came out that showed that Trump wanted National Guard troops out there. That really was highlighted last week, is making them look bad. You notice they're not covering it, which, by the way, could totally kill Smith's prosecution of Trump.
Yeah.
Because it goes to intent and state of mind. And then it was like, well, then why didn't it happen?
Right.
If Trump what stopped it from happening?
Right.
He wanted it. Nancy Pelosi had to call for it. Why didn't it happen?
Right.
And so that takes that away. So if you take January 6th away, then what is it? I just hate Trump.
Everything for them is falling apart.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Well, sometimes what the public doesn't even move the public at all, moves the media because it's so inside Washington or inside the Beltway or inside New York City, the media capitals. We'll get to one on that where Kamala Harris has said, nope, not going to attend the Al Smith dinner. It's hilarious because it's everybody has attended, I think, since Walter Mondale did not. And there's a warning the New York Post puts out. Walter Mondale in 1984 did not attend and lost 49 states.
Ouch.
So we will. I just love that one. But she's scared to death to be any place where she would have to give a couple of words or be humorous and speak out or do whatever and have Trump there.
Well, that's it. She's unprepared. She knows she's unprepared, and she has no conviction, at least is not able to talk about her convictions openly.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Well, yeah, sometimes things that the public just doesn't care about, the media does. And, some of them are the big media events like the Al Smith dinner. That thing's been going on since 1946, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's to raise money for Catholic charities in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody attends it. I'm reading here from the New York Post because Kamala Harris said she will not attend. Ouch! It seems Kamala Harris is so afraid of having to be spontaneous in public that she's skipping this year's Al Smith dinner on October 17th. The charity event that raises millions for the city's unfortunate. The dinner has hosted the major party rivals every 4 years, except just with 2 exceptions since 1960, when Richard Nixon dared to join John Kennedy, the first Catholic president nominee since Al Smith himself on Catholic turf. The candidates are supposed to deliver light jabs at each other in their dueling addresses, which plainly can be written in advance, but the program apparently has too many risks of being called upon for spontaneous reactions for Harris to agree. This is like we're dealing with a 7th grader. The Democratic nominee has done vastly fewer non-teleprompter events than any past major party candidate. One of her allies claims Harris is just too busy, though that's never stopped a sitting president from attending. Kamala says she will do the Smith dinner in the future if she wins in November. As for those exceptions, one came in 1996 when the then Cardinal opted to invite neither nominee, presumably because Clinton had just vetoed a bill that banned abortions of babies already partly out of the mother. Wow.
Yeah.
That could be Harris's concern now, since she and her running mate support unlimited abortion rights all the way through the 9th month of pregnancy. Walz even signed a bill ensuring that babies born despite an attempted abortion would have no protections. It's more likely, though, it's just her fear of having to be spontaneous. After all, she bungled a friendly conversation with Oprah Winfrey, who endorsed her. That phobia must be pretty crippling. Harris has to know that the other exception came when Walter Mondale declined the invite in 1984 and went on to lose 49 states in November.
Yeah, I think the biggest point here, she has a fear of just speaking spontaneously. And again, if you can't master an interview with Oprah as a Democrat, you should quit. If you can't do a sit down with Oprah as a Democrat, it's over. If you bungle that, and this, again, gets back to the confidence. Joe Biden doesn't lack confidence. Despite his cognitive issues, he'll go anywhere and everywhere that they'll let him. He doesn't have a problem going anywhere. They have a problem letting him go somewhere. They tell me I'm not supposed to take questions. But he doesn't have a lack of confidence. She has a complete lack of confidence. You can see it. You can hear it in her words. She's stalling. Every time you ask her a question, anytime she's asked a question in an interview, she's stalling. Why? There should be great urgency in getting your message out. We're weeks before the election. She doesn't have the self-confidence. She doesn't have confidence in Kamala Harris. And that's where we are. There's no way around that. For her to be, this would be worse than an open press conference, the Al Smith dinner. Because you really got to pull it off. I mean, you really, you're taking jabs at each. You kind of got to let your guard down. Well, everything with her in front of a camera has been rehearsed over and 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 over again. You can't rehearse the moments like the back and forth stuff that they do at Al Smith dinners.
When I went to Google and saw how many stories there were, even in the mainstream media, about it.
Yeah.
It was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because that's something, it's almost like the correspondence dinner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When Trump finally went, I'm done.
Yeah.
That was a big deal.
Yeah.
I'm not going.
Right.
Why should I go? I'm not going to go to that.
Right.
Now, that's different than this because that's run all by liberals, where this is an event run by Catholics.
Right. No, I think the point on her stance on abortion, and certainly Tim Walz's actions as governor on abortion are part of it, but the bigger part of it, I have to agree in the assessment here, is that she lacks self-confidence in getting up there.
To show you the other problems that the Democrats have, and this was just, I mean, it's so crystal clear. It's like this is not rocket science at all. This is the article from Fox News. Andrew Cuomo slams defund the police movement in a fiery church speech. Dumbest words ever uttered. Defund the police. Okay, here we go. So, I mean, this shows you the problem, the exact problems Democrats, including Cuomo, have. Well, he's got a lot more problems.
Well, he's got a few more, yeah.
But this is him trying to rehabilitate himself to eventually run for for mayor of New York. Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo slammed progressive policies and defended law enforcement in a fiery speech against far-left politics on Sunday. Speaking at the Bedford Central Presbyterian Church in Brooklyn, Cuomo began by endorsing Vice President Harris for the upcoming presidential election, calling her smart and qualified. She's going to unite the Democrats, the former politician said. She's going to bring a new energy, and because the opponent is Donald Trump, and we've seen that, we're not going back there again. But the Democrat noted that Harris getting into office would not solve all of our problems because government is not working for the people on a very basic level, and then went into a fiery speech about progressive leftist politics, which then I'll add, Harris endorses.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, this is the problem they have. Today we have the great political argument on the Democratic side. Who is more progressive? I don't even think they know what the word progressive means. You cannot be progressive if you don't make progress. Well, apparently he doesn't know the meaning of progressive.
Right.
He goes, some people think it's progressive to say defund the police. Yes, in theory, if everybody had an education and everybody had a job, nobody would need to commit a crime. I get the theory, but it's not that simple. Well, that's not why people commit the majority of crimes.
No.
So he's wrong on that. God, he's wrong on everything. Defund the police are the three dumbest words ever uttered in politics. They are not. It's I'm with her. Cuomo also called out the migrant issue in New York City, saying the government just can't have 100,000 migrants coming into New York City and only in New York. Nowhere else in the state of New York, only in New York City, the Democrats stated that's not true. And leave it all up to New York City to pay for the hotels, pay for the health care, over $10 billion, and no plan to help by the federal government. So the two things he brings up are the immigration policy and the insanity of the immigration policy and defund the police, both that Kamala Harris supports. Yeah. She supported defund the police when it was going on.
Yep.
She's changing her mind now, but she is an advocate for defunding the police.
Yeah.
She said it over and over again in 2020. She said it as a senator. And when it comes to illegal immigration, remember, she is the one who attempted to compare ICE to the KKK.
Yep.
And so that's the problem that Democrats have. Cuomo rails in this speech, the fiery speech. Progressive left politics stink, but you need to vote for the woman who has promoted the most progressive leftist politics that I'm completely against. I mean, it's just, you can't make this stuff up. Cuomo's walking in there going, the people at this church, I believe, are the biggest idiots on the planet.
Yeah.
I can lie to them.
Yep.
I can say whatever I want, and they're such idiots, they'll buy every bit of it, and they'll cheer for me.
Yep. No, he believes he's the eternal rock star.
Yeah. But it's so easy to tear apart. It's like they're not even trying anymore. I'll just get louder. If I just get louder, if I scream louder, then I can convince them.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to have a fiery speech where I say, stop voting for leftist policies, but vote for the woman who has promoted the most leftist policies of any modern American president or presidential candidate.
Liz Cheney. Donald Trump's not a real conservative. That's why I'm voting for Kamala Harris. What? What? They don't listen to themselves.
I know. They really don't. No self-awareness at all.
There's none.
None.
There's none.
That has to be being so wrapped up in your ego you don't even know what you're talking about. I got to tell you, I think I told you, but I got to mention on the air because I don't think I mentioned on the air. Got a complaint last week about the show, and I had to bring it to you because it's something we've been talking about. But I remember specifically that you were pounding on this during the Obama administration, and it was on fracking, where we talked about fracking, that she doesn't believe it. This guy wrote what I believe he believed was a vicious email that we don't know what the hell we're talking about. The Democrats are promoting the fact that for fracking because they know that they can stop it through regulation, and you basic idiots don't even understand that that's what's going on. And it's like, I don't know what to say. And except I've said this before. The most criticism we get are from people saying that either we hold positions that we don't, or in that case, accusing of having an opinion where we've left out something when it's something that we've been talking about for over a decade.
Which means you're brand new.
Yeah.
You're brand new to the show.
Oh, this guy he was livid. He was just blasting us for being completely incompetent and having no self-awareness, because we said that you guys have no self-awareness. You guys are caught in your own echo chamber. You don't even know that's why Democrats are doing it. And those are the ones I write back going, I don't know what to say. We've been talking about this for over 10 years that the Democrats promote, because we saw it with Obama.
Oh, yeah.
We saw it with Obama. I'm the one that's, because of the policies I've created, we have more oil and natural gas.
Mm-hmm.
And we went, well, no, because, you're promoting that on one end because you can't stop it from state and private property. But the fact is you're trying to stop it through regulation. And I just find that, that just reminded me that, of
and we've mentioned it numerous times with Biden and Harris and every Democrat.
For the longest time we mentioned it.
The biggest problem is regulation, because they can go in there on a whim and change it and cripple industry, including killing the coal industry, which is what Obama did. And we've been talking about that for 16 years.
Yeah, for 16 years, yeah.
So, we do get it. We just invite you to listen to the show longer.
But it wasn't that he was saying, hey, guys, this is what's really happening.
Mm-hmm.
He was livid.
Mm-hmm. I can't help that.
I mean, he was just...
Maybe cut back on the caffeine.
Well, that just sort of reminded me, hey, it's working for me. That's why that it reminded me, the Cuomo speech, the fiery speech, the anger, as you sound like an idiot to anybody with any type of critical thinking mind that can connect the dots. You can't be for Harris and say that the dumbest things ever spoken about was defund the police and our immigration policy, both of which she has a record on digital. Can't say on tape. On digital. It exists on YouTube. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
She wants as much open borders as we can get. And she was totally for defund the police, totally for sanctuary cities.
Mandatory buyback programs for guns.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not hard to find. She is a radical leftist, and that's how she would rule if she were president.
But it's just you've to the point now when you don't stand for anything, it's easy to tear your argument apart.
Yeah. Oh,
when you promote a candidate and say, this is what I believe and these liberal ideas are stupid, but I support the candidate that has supported those issues her entire life, people go, you're treating me like an idiot, like I don't know what's going on.
Right.
Why are you lying to me? Because in essence, you're sending me the incorrect message. You're lying to me.
Yeah. Right.
You're saying these things are terrible, vote for her. Well, she was for all those things you claim are the things that are ripping liberalism and the Democratic Party apart.
And right now, the people will accept a number of lies, there's no doubt. And some will accept the biggest. But on the issues, don't lie about how you're going to fix everything that's broken.
866-90-RED-I.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at JJ Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on speed and space management. In order to manage speed, you need to understand the 4 factors involved in stopping a vehicle. Perception distance is the distance a vehicle travels from the time you see a hazard until your brain recognizes it. The perception time for an alert driver is approximately 3/4 of a second. Reaction distance is the distance a vehicle travels from the time your brain tells your foot to move from the accelerator until your foot hits the brake pedal. The average driver has a reaction time of 3/4 of a second. Brake lag distance also needs to be taken into account. When operating a vehicle with air brakes, it takes about half a second for the mechanical operation to take place. Finally, braking distance is the distance it takes a vehicle to stop once the brakes are applied. Braking distance is affected by the weight, length, and speed of the vehicle, as well as road condition. This tip was brought to you by JJ Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So I just feel that, and I hope that this election is more about the issues, because if it is, Trump wins. Not that I agree with him on all the issues. In fact, we've talked about this. Once he gets into office, it's going to be like, whoa. And you see the Wall Street Journal editorial on Trump talking about 10% credit card rates.
Mm-hmm.
Good to see that you're to the left of Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren now
right.
on price controls.
Right.
But you'll deal with that, and will that happen? No.
No.
That's
they're not going to get that done.
But those things we'll deal with. We're talking about the weaponization of government now. We're talking about the illegal immigration. We're talking about the attempt to destroy the Constitution of the United States, the separation of powers with packing the court, where then the court would be much more like whoever is in power in Congress or the executive branch instead of being its own, separate entity. Those are the things that I'm voting for, and I'll deal. And by the way, it's not going to be nirvana no matter who gets in.
No.
If Trump gets in, there's still we're going to have a lot of problems.
Well, he's got a massive mess to clean up.
Yeah.
And where do you start?
If the two idiots overnight can understand it, so can you. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Just want people to know the breaking news, in case you didn't know about it already. Taylor Swift was not at the Chiefs game last night. So,
all right, then. That's the beginning of the end. Now, she's going to have to write a breakup song about Kelsey, and then after Kamala loses, a breakup song about Kamala. That's a lot of work. Oh, well.
Oh, man.
Oh, well. It was annoying while it lasted.
I just like last week. Second week in a row.
Yeah.
That.
See?
That. Is it Brittany Mahomes did not sit next to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the political tension that you can feel it.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care at all.
I mean, then why'd you bring it up? Because it's humorous.
I think she's on to Kelsey not being a billionaire. I think that's finally settling in. Ew. You're just a millionaire? Ew. I so don't care. I can't imagine why anyone would. I just can't imagine why anybody would care. I don't care who's at the game except the team if I'm a fan of the team. I mean, the Cowboys didn't even show up to their own game. 2 in a row so far. So
should be talking about that.
Right.
Not that Taylor Swift didn't show, the Cowboys
Exactly.
didn't show.
Cowboys players have missed 2 games. There's the story. That's what counts. Until she can throw or catch a ball, I don't care.
That's where I did see, because I was just scanning through yesterday. I didn't stand long, but that's where I saw when I would go back to the Cowboys game yesterday, just to see. I mean, there was a real interest because they were playing so bad. It was like, wow, how bad is this? How bad is this going to get?
Well, the
because
funniest
it was worse
line
than last week. I mean, apparently they came. I mean, I'd gone to sleep by the time that they were coming back, but but they still ended up losing. But that's where I saw the commercials for both Cruz and Colin Allred, who's running against Cruz.
Right.
I saw the 2 ads. So, and by the way, Trump's almost running an ad similar to Cruz on the radical transgender movement, just pounding it.
Right. Yeah, the biggest headline I saw from the Cowboys game was Tom Brady saying, "Oh, my God." I didn't even read the story. I just saw the headline. Like, oh, all right.
I did hear a little bit of it. I don't understand why they pay. If you're a distinctive personality, that what's his name? Oh, from Oakland became John Madden.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was a bombastic, and I don't say that in a negative way. He was a bombastic, likable personality. He was a big personality.
Yeah.
Brady's not a personality. They paid him a ton of money. I asked you the question earlier. Did one person turn into the Cowboys game yesterday, Cowboys-Ravens, because Tom Brady was doing color? Maybe just to be inquisitive, because I did just to see how he would do. But then I was gone. I was like, man, he's bad.
Yeah.
I mean, he was able to form sentences. I'm talking about if you're asking, okay, is he repeating himself? Is he adding something that's really dynamic or special? I like if you're going to be a color person, I like somebody who's more blunt or entertaining as hell.
Yeah, I don't want the Captain Obvious moments.
Right. And that you can add something, in a very blunt way. I like, and I probably am not in the norm, but I loved, for example, when Johnny Miller did golf. Because he'd say, what Tiger's doing sucks.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
And it's like, but at the time he said it, he wasn't judging his entire career. He was judging him at the moment, what he was doing, or the different swing, that it was stupid. And then you could debate it and made it like, all right, that's what you want in sports. He's saying this person stinks, which was most of with Johnny Miller criticism, but I would say the majority of Johnny Miller criticism is right. Just like you're getting right now with, what's his name? Brandel Chambly, who's just going after the live golf and has like crazy because of accepting, basically being pawns of the Saudi Arabian government and saying it's wrong for them. And he's just been harping it for a couple of years now and not letting go of it.
Right.
And it's like, doesn't matter whether I agree or disagree with the particular thing. I just like strong opinions.
Yeah, I mean,
just
you
like-
want
I like
a
strong,
real
blunt
assessment.
opinions.
You want, again, not just the obvious that everybody else can, in their own mind, has already said to themselves. You know?
And one thing I wanted to say, because Live Golf was here in Dallas this weekend. And I turned it on just to see what it would be like, the crowd. And I really didn't get to see any of the holes I watched. I didn't see huge crowds. Could you please get into the, 20th century when it comes to audio? Their audio is horrible echo.
Really?
And it's not the first one. They can't get their audio right. Plus the music when they're on the green. They're playing like there's loudspeakers all over the thing blowing rock music at you, or not even rock music. It's not, it's not rock music I like. It's,
on the green, on the course, they're playing music.
you can hear it. I don't know whether the loudspeakers are there right there, but it's loud enough to wherever they're playing the music that you can hear it.
Wow.
Where it's like bum 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 bum, and then in an echo, the echo from the announcer. I mean, it's amateur. The broadcast is amateurish. It's horrible.
Yeah,
But
I really wonder what they're going for. That's weird.
But the microphones with the echo was just, I've seen that in a bunch of different tournaments. But I cannot handle, I want to hear the golf shot. I want to hear the swing. If you're a golfer, and come on, let's be honest. Tiger Woods brought a bunch of people in, but most people who watch golf probably golf or have a great interest in golf and like it, or did golf or want to golf, whatever. But I want to hear, when you hit a golf ball and you hear them hit a golf ball, if they've hit a good shot. I want to focus on the moment. I like the sounds of nature, even if they're piped in. I like that. But to have music, I can't stand it. But I can't believe how amateurish the broadcast actually is in technical terms.
With all the money they've spent.
Oh, yeah. And I keep thinking, it can't be my home theater system because everything else sounds fine in my home theater system. This doesn't.
Yeah, right.
So what do? Are they broadcasting in mono and my system can't bring it up? I mean, I just...
Yeah, that seems weird that they would play music like that.
Yeah, the music has been a constant. Well, we want to have no. Look, it started for me in the NBA a few years ago when they started just blasting you with everything. Where I haven't been to an NBA game because I was complaining about it really, I think like 2004, 2005. I'd had enough. So I'm not going to pay. I want to hear what's going on the court, and then when they got to be, and I figured it out for the NBA. I figured it out why they're doing what they're doing. Why? Because it was the announcer screaming that it's, you've got to cheer now. It's time to cheer. So they would tell you, when to cheer. Then they would tell you why to cheer. Come on. And I was going to Mavericks games at the time. Come on, it's time to stand up and cheer for your team. Come on. They've just come back. And then how to cheer. Come on, let's get louder, cheer this, whatever. Defense, shut up. It drove me absolutely. And I come from the time when you went to an NBA game and the organ would go, dun, 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 dun. And you knew when to cheer defense. It's when you were down by 8 points and you were down by 20 and you brought it down to 8 or 6 points and the other team's bringing the ball down the court, we figured out when to cheer. But I figured out why they have to instruct you on everything. Because As we know, the NBA is most popular in liberal cities. And the NBA owners believe that the people who come to games, just like the Democratic Party believes liberals are complete idiots and morons and must be told how to do everything, including cheer at an NBA game.
Yeah. Otherwise, you wouldn't know. They think you're so stupid you won't know when to cheer.
Right, you won't, exactly.
Yeah. Now, I would draw the line at music being played on a golf course.
Yeah, I can't just...
Wow. Yeah, I would never. That would never settle. There's not enough money in the world. And they've thrown all the money in the world at those players. And no, sorry.
But I turned it for probably 30 seconds and went, I can't handle this, you know, and I don't watch it anyway. I mean, I'm not, it's just not, you know, the dumbest thing that Liv does is the team game where they have the individual score and what are the teams doing? We have different teams of 4, and they give stupid names to all the teams of players. Golf is an individual sport, except for the Ryder Cup, which is coming up, and the President's Cup. Nobody gives a damn about team golf.
Nope.
If it's the United States playing against something, then they do. But the team golf of random players, nobody cares about. Idiotic move, as was Liv to begin with. I'm not a fan of it at all.
No.
Of it.
No.
You know, it's like, but, and I know the response I'm going to get, that's because you're old school. Explain, please.
Yeah. Well, tell someone why they should be a fan of it.
Yeah.
If it's going to become loud music on the actual course, if it's going to become what the NBA has become while you're trying to watch it, no.
Well, I don't expect a golf lesson when I go to a concert. So don't give me a concert at a golf tournament or a basketball game or a baseball game or a football game.
Right.
I came to see football.
Yep.
Otherwise, you need to start doing the reverse. When I go to see Trans-Siberian Orchestra this year, I decided to go. Remember I told you the other day I wasn't going to go because it was after Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
I decided to go.
Right. All right.
I don't want to see Trans-Siberian Orchestra later on this year and Al Petrelli come out and say, now I want to show you guys what I'm doing with my putter before we get into the next song.
Yeah. And what you should do.
There's a nice break in the stage here, and it's going to go to the left towards our singer Chloe Laurie, and then it's going to go over there. What's the blonde hair guy's name? Angus.
Yeah, Angus Clark.
And it's going to break over near Angus Clark, and you get my point.
Yep.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up following the top of the hour with unions now clearly breaking for Trump. Is that an indication? We mentioned the political story earlier where Democrats are worried. Does that mean that there may be a break in other demographics? We'll get to that. A report details schools' efforts now to rebrand rather than eliminate DEI offices in accordance with state laws. With state laws coming out, these colleges are going, okay, we're not going to call it DEI. We're going to call it something else, but we're just rebranding it. They're not going to give up. The far left's not going to give up on this stuff.
Never.
We'll get to that story more.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.